Tiny, can you explain to us how to balance personal life and work?
Okay, that is a tough one. That is a really tough one, because what you've got to be is disciplined in both areas, and you've got to take as many opportunities to put them both together. You know, one of the things when you do start a business, and let's call it a new large career, you might be spending 60, 70 hours a week doing it, and so that puts strain on everything else. So one of the things that you do give up in one sense is your own personal life, okay? Not your family life, not your friends or extended family. So you end up doing a lot less for yourself. You'll try and spend as much time with your family and bits and pieces. So you can't really go, okay, I play squash 5 nights a week. I go with my friends every Saturday to fishing and things like that, and then the leftover is for the family. So you do, unfortunately, you do have to give up some of your own. There is ways around it where you can involve. I remember building a library at my house where I was doing my work. The kids had a computer next to them, which they were back then they were chatting on computer with their friends. So you do kind of get to spend as much time as possible with them, even though you are doing enormous hours. So you get up earlier. You end up sleeping less. You get up earlier. If you've got a really big day, but it can be done earlier. Let's say you've got quotes and other bits and pieces. You can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then if you do a 14-hour day, it's till 6 o'clock at night, which then you've got a few hours of family time. Some people end up starting later in the morning, and then late at night they don't see their kids and bits and pieces. So it is one of those things that you've got to work out, but you've got to make every minute productive. So when you're in business, that whatever you're doing is the most productive. Like I remember for 20 odd years I had a 4-minute lunch. It's just like, okay, if you have a half an hour lunch like normal, well, that's 26 minutes at the end of the day that you've got to add on. So you don't get to spend time with whoever you want to in your personal life. So there is sacrifices that you've got to make, and you've got to plan it. And once again, it all revolves about discipline. If you've got a new idea or a new venture, get up earlier in the morning, and knock it on the head, and then it's right. Or in some senses, work out how you can take your kids to school on the way to a job, or things like that. So it's just pre-planning and just understanding that part of your own personal life you're going to lose. You might follow a football team, but after a few years you don't know who the players are, things like that. But then it was kind of like my scenario was a lot of my friends, because I used to go out night clubbing and bits and pieces because I love dancing. So a lot of when I decided to take on business, and a lot of my friends rang me up and said, look, you want to come out? I said, look, sorry, I'm working tomorrow morning, and so forth. So the phone calls got less and less and less over the months, and that's understandable. If you ring somebody 5 times and they can't come out, well, you're not going to ring them the 6th time. Weirdly enough, 20 years later, I ring them up and saying, I'm going to Peru. You want to come? Oh no, listen, I've got, I'm still renting a house, and I'm still doing, and that's quite fine as well. They chose that sort of lifestyle. But it was funny 20 years later when I rang them, because they always said, next time you go hiking or somewhere, Vegas or wherever it may be, please call me. And, I'd call them, I'd give them, a year's advance and say, listen, next July I'm going to Peru or so forth or so forth. So it was a bit of a funny turnaround where 20 years later I had the time and the funds, but they didn't. So it depends on how much you want to sacrifice, and mainly you sacrifice your own time. You try your best not to sacrifice the family time, and a couple of close friends. They also understand, with those sorts of situations.